Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Whiskers Whispers, Tale of VTuber. As you know, I am Grimalkin Bastet, the host, and today we have RebelRica.
Myself. Hi, thank you very much. Yes, I am RebelRica, at your service.
Thank you for coming on. I've been asking people to be on, and I will be honest, it is like a bit of like anxiety stricken when I ask people to come on. I'm like, what if they say no? But I was so happy when you responded and you were like, sure. I was like, yes.
Reaching out to people is by far one of the most anxiety-inducing things. I totally get that.
Yes. But I think we'll just start straight off the bat with the question I feel like you have to ask every VTuber, which is, what made you become a VTuber?
So, what made me become a VTuber? I know that it was the first question, and I've been looking at it, and this is the one that I've been sort of thinking about the most of all of them. Oh, the reason I became a VTuber is because I like to feel comfortable in my... Now, this is going to sound weird as I say it, but I like to feel comfortable in my own skin. And the best way I can do that online is, well, through a body and some would say model of my choosing. Mm-hmm. But I prefer... The way I see it, everybody has like their flesh persona.
Yeah.
And but we present very differently online. And so the way I want to be perceived online is, well, this.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah, and I think it didn't come from a place of I wanted a stream or anything, though I eventually went into that. I actually first started using my model, this is my second version of it, but I started using my model just in voice calls because I wanted people who I interacted with online to see this instead of that flesh persona. I mean, I was already using a different username than my legal name, so why not a different body?
Okay, I really haven't met anybody who started off like that, just using it for like their day-to-day before they started streaming. That's interesting. I like that.
It wasn't this model. The other model is outdated now. This one reflects more what I prefer to look like. I thought VTuber, well, that means I have to be an anime girl, and I kind of went with a very generic idea. I kind of refined it as time went on.
Okay, well, we all started somewhere. I know this isn't my first model. This is actually my third one that like I reworked as like time progressed, but we always have to give flowers to where we started. I think I did see your first model on Twitter, like your very first one, and I was like, oh wow, like I could see where you kept some concepts and then when you tweaked it, and I think it came out really well.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I not that I have anything against the old model, I just don't think it accurately reflected me. I mean, the big thing being my my melanin.
Yes.
In my flesh person actually has melanin, and at first, I'm gonna be entirely honest, I didn't know if people would like see me and go, well, that's weird. Like most anime characters are obviously paler skinned.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure if it would be accepted, and then I took all those thoughts and all those doubts and worries, proceeded to throw them out the window, and I am a lot happier for it.
I always like to tell people, new VTuber and even people who've been VTubing forever, like don't be afraid to show a little melanin.
Yeah.
Show it off. But I feel like this is a good way to transition to how did you feel when you first debuted your model?
Well, do you mean the design or on stream? Because those are two very different experiences.
We can go with both.
Okay, so the design. I was very excited. I am just so glad that I get to be more of, well, me. And this is, it sounds cheesy to say, but like I just feel a lot more comfortable in my own skin right now. And being able to show like, yeah, no, I am here. I'm RebelRica. I'm this purple-haired punk rock isekai VTuber, and being able to have something that accurately reflects that. I think it's why, like, even before the rise of VTubers, people used to... If you notice, like, a lot of profile pictures in a lot of social media sites everywhere, even ones where you'd prefer to remain anonymous, you usually have a face as your profile picture, whether it's like an anime character face, like your real face, like a dog face. And that's because people like look at the profile picture and that's what
they perceive.
They perceive, exactly. And I think it's something we subconsciously do, but I decided to take that face and make it, well, what I wanted my VTuber avatar to look like.
Oh wow, I really like that.
I know that a lot of people in my family don't get VTubing. And it's not an antagonistic thing. It's not that they're not trying to understand it. It's just, I think, different times, you know?
Yeah. There's like a disconnect when it comes to it.
Exactly. I think the best way I've been able to start describing it is, okay, imagine you're putting on like a suit for work or something, or a Halloween costume. Imagine you're putting on a Halloween costume. That is how like the model works. It follows what I do. I move, it moves. That is, there's no like sorcery going on behind the scenes.
I think that's a perfect way to put it. I feel people get too caught up in like the logistics of it, but it really is just kind of like putting on a mask and allowing yourself to just run wild.
Or the way I like to put it, it's like taking off a mask.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways people do. I get what you're saying. I really never thought about it that way, because in ways when people start VTubing, they can really just be themselves. So yeah, that's a great way to put it. What would you say is the biggest challenge you faced when you started VTubing?
Biggest challenge? That one's easy. I didn't have any of the tech. I was, for the longest time since high school until about 2 years after college, which is when I started like looking into all this, I had the same exact laptop, the same exact MacBook, and so I had no idea how to go about things. Yes, you can probably put together like my age from that point. I don't make a secret of it. I am 27. I am almost a hag.
Oh my.
But no, that was the biggest challenge right there. Figuring out, okay, so I obviously can't use a MacBook for all of this. Like, okay, I gotta run VTube Studio, I gotta run OBS, I gotta run the game, I gotta run Discord at the same time. Mm-hmm. This MacBook would explode if I tried any of that. So, just getting everything set up, buying, like, my desktop that I'm using now, and getting the mic set up. By the way, how is the mic? Discord has different... Okay, perfect. Discord has different settings than OBS, I know, so...
Yeah, it's coming through perfectly.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, the mic, the model, of course, my mama cooked, and has two different, I know, I'm not sure what the audience is gonna see, but I know there's my model here, you can see, I'm, like, displaying to you, and I decided to get two different costumes.
Oh, cool. I love that.
So yeah, the biggest challenge was just the upfront, like, expense.
Yeah, I understand that. I feel like that's a main thing, because from what I've like contacted people and asked them, it is like a big difference. Either they came with the equipment and they just started it, or like kind of like how you said you had to get the equipment, or that was like one of the biggest like tribulations when starting.
This is, yeah, definitely. And this is why I really like, and I have to start this off by saying I'm in no way affiliated with Analive, but I really like Analive and their Jumpstart program and what they're doing there.
What are they doing? I've never heard of them.
So Analive is this like new VTubing app. Basically, they have this program called Jumpstart, and as I understand it, again, no way affiliated, but as the public information is, they are essentially doing applications for people who want to become VTubers. They give you a model, you get to pick a model, from their library, and once you do, you owe them a certain amount of time to basically work the model off.
Okay.
For a little while, you're exclusive to streaming on their app, but once you reach a certain number of hours, congratulations, model's yours, you can stream anywhere you want. That's how I understand it.
Oh, cool. I'll definitely have to look into that.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it knocks out that problem we were discussing, which is that, like, the cost.
Yeah, I think, and even though, like, you have to, like, stream on their app, of course, I don't know that much about it because you just tell me, so I don't know if there's any, like, background issues or anything like that, but up front, it seems like a really good exchange.
Yeah, at least public-facing, from what I see, like, it's a really good deal for people who can't necessarily afford their own model. I agree. So what would you say is, because I know you're new to VTubing as of right now, so what do you think is your content plan? Or what do you think you'll be focusing on as of right now? Right now I'm getting my footing. I'm very much doing variety right now of different games, seeing what I'm comfortable in doing on stream, trying to get more basically trying to get my chops up as far as, like, being able to discuss with an audience, being able to keep running my mouth, as it were, and be able to keep entertaining, and getting those basic fundamental skills of, okay, now I have, like, 4 screens in front of me, how do I multitask and not fill, like, entire segments of dead silence? So I think that's what I'm doing right now, just getting the basics, getting proficient at, like, switching between tabs and stuff, and also keeping a running conversation going. Moving forward, I plan to have, like, a more set schedule, less variety content, and more, well, I'm a writer at the end of the day, and I like really cool fantasy stuff, and I like being able to create. I have a lot of video editing layout and a video editing experience, layout experience, not art, but, like, I used to make books.
Oh, cool.
Or not used to, I make books, but that's in another world.
I understand. That's really cool that you do so many different things.
Well, thank you, and I see this as the ability to, in a sense, get to share some of the things I'm passionate about. I just can't do it immediately because I don't know if I can keep a conversation going that long while I'm doing really boring stuff at times. Because it's really easy to have a conversation going when, like, there's exciting gameplay going on, and I can fall back on, hey, look at what's on screen. But when I'm doing something like looking at a million layers and, oh my god, I have to somehow, like, make the page of a book look good, and most of it is text. That's not, I can't exactly run out of things to say.
It's kind of hard to make people excited about certain things. I totally understand that. I think the best piece of advice, if you're okay with me giving you some,
of course,
is, because I know I run into snags where it's just like, oh my gosh, these people are talking forever. Like, you know, like the cutscenes, it's like, am I supposed to say something right now? I don't want people to get bored. I think you can't be afraid for silence for a couple seconds, but at the same time too, you gotta talk about some craziness. Like, sometimes, like, if there's like a long cutscene, if I don't just go ahead and just skip it entirely, I'll be talking about, like, I don't know, how I burnt my hand on a pan earlier today, or I'll talk about how when I was younger I was ran over with my own bike. You know, you can't be afraid to, like, throw in random things, because, you know, it's gonna get people's attention. They're gonna be like, what? And then that silence is gone and people are typing. You know what I'm saying? You gotta interweave it a little bit.
And I appreciate the advice, honestly. Again, I'm still learning. I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm just trying to get a little better every day.
Oh, of course. And if you have any, like, you want to ask anything, I'm always open and I'm always up late. So you have any questions, you can always hit me up, because hell, I'm still learning. And I'm still over here like asking people, what is this? I don't know what this is. How do you set it up?
I appreciate it. Yeah, and I think that's the big cool thing about the VTubing community. We're all kind of helping each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least ideally we are.
Yeah. We hope for that one, that everybody's helping each other out. Speaking on the fact that you just started, how did your first stream go? Was there any scuffs? Did it go better than you expected? How was it?
Okay, now I get to talk about the embarrassing bit. My first stream ever. So, funny thing there, I wasn't supposed to go live.
Oh.
And I was with a friend, a flesh friend, just working on things. And I was trying to do a test stream. I thought that on OBS and like Twitch, there would be like a setup stream, like where I get to look at everything, see how it looks on Twitch's end before, hey, hit live.
Yeah.
That is not the case, and I saved the clip because, and I wish I had the full VOD, but I managed to get the clip of the moment I went live, and I'm talking with my friend, like, and it's just going like, yeah, and I wonder if, oh my god, I think I went live.
Oh, wow.
And, I decided at that moment to just kind of roll with it. I was playing Fallout 4, and I just decided, all right, I guess we're doing this, and we're working out the scuff on stream.
Hey, props to you though, because I feel like if I would have accidentally pushed like go live, I would have immediately clicked off the button and just ran and just like buried my face in like my bed. I don't think I would have had enough like charisma to keep going.
Oh, there was no charisma there. It was all falling on my face. But I'm glad for the experience, because sometimes you need to do that.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta be thrown into situations and it comes out really well. So, oh my gosh, I'm looking through. You know, usually I do like a Google Doc when I send the questions, but like I'm trying to, kind of like how we were just saying, I'm trying to look on Discord and talk at the same time. Have you encountered any technical difficulties, and how did you overcome them?
Technical difficulties happen every single stream, and I find new ones every single day. I think the big thing with the tech issues is trying not to let the same ones hit you in the future. And you're always going to run into more, but it's a game of, alright, now that you've learned how to do it, when it happens in the future, how quickly can you work it out? So I know I've had a few streams where I'm like playing Hollow Knight, and I have two flesh friends, and they're supporting me. We're shooting a crap, and I realize none of their audio is coming through. So I can hear them, but it's not coming in via the game because Discord was cut out and not one of my like accepted audio outputs.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like I'm talking to myself the entire time. And unfortunately, one of the nicknames my friends had was Kami. So it sounds like I'm talking to God.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm answering, and God's answering, but nobody hears but me. So I ran into
wow.
that. Fixed that. Never happened again.
Bro, I can imagine you going back and listening to it, and you're just like, oh, this whole time. Okay, so... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, just to wrap up, stuff is gonna happen. It's just a matter of fixing it and moving on.
Definitely. You just gotta roll with it sometimes, because I feel like the worst thing you can do when scuff happens is make it like a big deal, and like you're always like, oh my gosh, why is it you know, you gotta laugh with it, you gotta fix it, and then just keep moving.
Exactly. Turn it into content.
Definitely. I feel like that's the best thing, because at the end of the day, that can be a clip. Okay, so what is your thoughts on growing your audience as the new VTuber?
Network. I have since learned that there is zero discoverability on Twitch itself. Because if you have one viewer, usually yourself, congratulations, you are not on the front page when you go live. and nobody is going to find you. So, what do you do then? Well, if you're not on a front page, nobody's going to find you. Of course, you post your links when you go live. And it's just a matter of getting people from different platforms onto the one you want. How do you turn your Twitter audience? I'm sorry, X audience. I'm never gonna be able to say that.
No,
seriously.
never. I always still say Twitter, and then people are like, technically it's X, and I'm like, look, I don't know.
How do you turn your X audience into your Twitch audience? How do you turn your TikTok audience into your Twitch audience? How do you get people from where they see you other places to where you're streaming? And that's the biggest thing about growing an audience, trying to manage to do that on different platforms, and you have to do it on different platforms. So make friends, interact with commenters, don't ignore anybody, for the love of God, don't ignore anybody. Unless, like, obvious trolls, of course.
Yeah.
But, like, engage with the community. I think that's the best thing to do, and not only as a streamer, but as an audience member. Go into people's chats. Don't plug yourself.
Oh, no.
But have people know your name so that when they eventually see you on Twitter, it's like, hey, I know them. They were talking into, like, my Yoshi's chat. Let's take a look at their stuff.
I think that's a perfect way. You wrapped it up perfectly of how you should get yourself out there. How do you engage with your community, and how are you going about building your following? I know you kind of like answered that a little bit, but can you go a little bit more in depth?
Well, thankfully, I've been able to gain a community from people from doing exactly that, like interacting with others. And I didn't mean to do it. If it's kind of weird in that I discovered it worked at the same time I discovered I was doing it anyways, which is interacting with other people's chats. I just so happened to, I spoke on about Analive. My Kami is Mia Fenimore from the Small Corp Nexus, and she streams on Analive right now. And so I downloaded the app and started watching her streams and started being interactive with her and a lot of the other people on Analive, whether they're part of the Jumpstart program or part of the Corp Nexus. Nexus and Analive are not the same, but they're partnered.
Okay.
But I started popping up in a lot of chats, and eventually, as it turns out, people who saw me jump from chat to chat and like interact and again not plug myself. For the love of goodness, whatever you do, if you're a new VTuber starting out, don't jump into people's chats and start saying, hey, yeah, no, I'm a VTuber, you should check me out here. That is the worst etiquette you can do. But the sheer fact that I was recognized and people kept seeing me and then reached out, saw some of my like fan memes, fan edits of like different songs, people then wanted to stop by on Twitch and see what I was doing because, hey, they're a part of the community. And that's how I've been able to grow so far.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I never thought about doing it that way. You know, when I first started, I was just like posting on Twitter. You know what I mean? That was like the only way I knew, because I didn't, of course, I didn't come in with any prior knowledge. I was just like, you know, like the follow chain. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, those support chains.
Yeah.
The engagement tweets.
Yeah, stuff like that. That's how I really first started out with growing following. I didn't think about actually going to people's lives and just being a part of the community in a way to say. That's a really different take. I love that. And
there is the engagement stuff, all that, like support trains, those are definitely useful. I think that the balance is being able to like engage in that, and I have to get better at doing that part of it. Because gonna be real here, you may not, people may not like it, but it works for growing an audience.
Yeah.
But juggling that and being able to be an active participant in like other communities, I think works really well. I have to say, I would have been a member of their communities anyways. It's just so happens like, hey, it's helping me a little bit. That's pretty cool.
Definitely. What would you say is one piece of advice you wish someone gave you when you first started?
For the love of God, don't get involved in drama. If you see drama, just walk away. Just don't engage. If it has nothing to do with you, that's amazing. And don't interact with any of it. You can still be like friends and stuff and Twitter pals and with people who are involved in it. Just don't dig in. It's not your business. It's not your problem.
Yeah, I totally see that. If anything, just read it and just keep moving on.
Yeah, and I that's exactly it. It doesn't mean you can't know what's going on. It's just it has nothing to do with you, don't comment on it. Oh, and this wasn't told to me. I didn't have to learn this myself, but it's probably good advice for everybody, and it's related. Don't gossip behind the scenes, especially in public servers. It can and will always get out, from what I've seen.
It's always gonna get back to you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, I feel like people should know that, but it is a great thing to like bring up, is just don't do it. I know it's enticing because like you be laughing, you around the campfire, but just don't do it.
Yeah, treat it, if you wouldn't do it in like a regular place of work because it could get you in trouble, don't do it on Twitter, because if you're trying to build something like a VTubing career, it's gonna shoot you in the foot.
Definitely. Now, going more into like a little bit of your personal life, did you find challenges balancing VTubing with your personal life?
Oh, absolutely. I'm still trying to figure out how to deal with them. So the fact of the matter is, I work full time, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. I'm in higher education. I've made no secret of that, which means, well, congratulations, I have a full-time job at a school, which means morning to afternoon I'm just not available to stream.
Yeah.
Which means I either have to do things when I get home, which is usually 6 to 7 Eastern p.m. Or I have to do things very early in the morning before I go to work, and that's working around that schedule is
tough.
Rough. That's the biggest challenge I've run into, being able to balance that, and because I get home and I don't want to do anything. Like, if I do want to play games, one of the hardest things is like, all right, I gotta get the energy to not appear depressed on stream. Because nobody wants, I'm gonna put it this way, nobody wants to see like the lifeless face. I'm just gonna look into the camera here. No engagement, reads a chat, ignores it, or goes, or worse yet, goes, huh.
Yeah. Nobody wants to tune into that. I won't lie. I've done it once or twice where like you just like, you know, it's on the list, so you have to go and stream, and like you're kind of lifeless and you're just like, I had a horrible day, it's been long. You gotta know how to, like, it's sad to say, but sometimes you gotta mask it, and you gotta always like have that perky, you know, I'm happy to be here, how are you guys doing? Even on the worst days.
Yeah, and that's not to say that you can't express other emotions other than like happiness and joy. Like, we're all human. It's just, it's a matter of figuring out, like, you have to stay engaged despite it.
Yeah, definitely. What's something surprising you've learned since becoming a VTuber?
That's a good question. Because I'm trying to figure out like what I already knew before, and what was actually a surprise. I think the biggest surprise was that people are way friendlier than you would imagine even if they have a big audience. And I know there's this disconnect between... Now we're going to get into some of the serious stuff, like parasocial relationships and things. There is a huge barrier, a lot of people, between fan and creator. And that is really hard to work through. I, as a small streamer, have this kind of weird in-between, I feel, of I am a part of a lot of communities and I am a fan of these communities, but I'm also a small creator who's trying to grow, and being able to balance that, like, how to engage with people and reach out and not seem like a fan who's trying to start like this parasocial, like, oh, I gotta get into your DMs, like, no, I want to go ahead and reach out because I like to talk to other creators and learn from other creators and potentially collab with other creators. I think actually you're the first person I'm collabing with in like this manner.
Oh, awesome!
I've talked to other people about potentially doing so in small ways, just like, hey, how's this, like, how about we do this for like one stream? Doesn't have to be a long-term thing, but one stream to sort of both get experience, both gain interest. I think the scariest thing is reaching out to people who have like a large established fan base, because it's more like, oh, I have like so many more fans than you. But what I learned was, no, they are perfectly willing to engage with like smaller creators, especially those who have been a part of their community. And I think that was the biggest surprise right there. The fact that, oh, I'm not getting shot down. People are actually like taking me somewhat seriously. Holy crap.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely is like it's a nail-biting experience to like go out on a limb and ask somebody that has a bigger following about a certain, like, even if it's something as small as like, hey, I saw on your stream you had like this add-on, how did you get that? Sometimes that can even be kind of like, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're gonna respond. Like, I'm kind of scared what they're gonna say. They could just ignore me. But I feel like at the end of the day, people gotta understand that we're all human, and I feel like if you go at it with that perspective, it's a lot, it's calmer.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny how even people with a bigger audience, they want to engage with others, and it's not like looking at, I don't know, Jennifer Lawrence, and you don't have a direct DM line to Jennifer Lawrence. That's very different than a VTuber with like 1,000 to 10,000 fans.
Definitely. So have you ever collabed with anybody, like a VTuber, like gaming wise, or no?
Not exactly. There are a few things in the progress as far as gaming. I'm obviously sitting down with you.
Yes.
But nothing official has hit stream yet.
Okay, I was just asking because I wanted to know if I should ask like a couple of the questions, but that's totally fine. We all get to those. I haven't either, actually. It's funny. I've been streaming off and on for like almost 3 years now, and I've never done a collab with anybody.
Hey, maybe you should reach out. Who knows? They'll say yes, probably.
Maybe.
Worst that happens is they say no, and you're back to square one, and so there's no real net loss there.
Yeah, maybe I will. You know, maybe you kind of gave me that courage to do it and like actually go out and ask somebody. What are some specific goals that you're hoping to achieve as a new VTuber?
Affiliate on Twitch by end of year. I want December 31st to reach that affiliate goal. I have most of them. Most of the requirements done already, like the 3 average viewers, stuff like that. I think the only thing I need is 50 followers on Twitch. But I know for a fact, even if I hit affiliate, meet the requirements, I'm not going to apply for affiliate status right away.
Okay.
Because I know the second I get ads, that viewership is dropping.
Oh.
So I want to grow a little bit more before actually applying, even if I meet all the requirements.
Okay.
But I kind of do want, like, you know, Twitch end of the year, like December 31st. That's in 2 months. I think that I'll see where I am then. I'll reevaluate.
Yeah.
But the other big thing is figuring out multi-streaming, because I do want to, as I had mentioned, you can't stick to just one platform, and I recently learned that Twitch actually allows multi-streaming. Like, you can do that, so long as your quality on Twitch is not worse than your quality anywhere else.
Well, so when you say you want to, like, do you want to stream at the same time, like, let's say on YouTube and on Twitch at the same time? Is that what you're saying?
My goal is to use something like a software like Restream.
Oh, I was about to say that to tell you about, yeah.
Yeah, for YouTube, and possibly, I actually recently got an email from Streamlabs saying that I was pre-approved for the TikTok Live.
Oh, cool.
So, possibly doing all three and seeing, hey, how does that work out? The big thing is I'm probably going to need another monitor, because one monitor is used for gaming, one monitor is used for OBS and Streamlabs. My phone is currently used for my camera, and so I'm going to need, like, a laptop or something on the side to just look at all the different chats and make sure I'm responding to each of them.
Yeah, I know my sibling, he streams, he uses Restream, and what they do is, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'll just tell you anyway. What they do is they just have one chat, and it integrates, like, the TikTok, the YouTube, and the Twitch all into one little file. So you don't have to have all three open. You just have to have the Restream chat open, and it will show you everybody's comments at once.
Interesting. Okay, I wasn't sure how they handled that, because I know what it is against terms of service is a bot that throws the chats directly into, so throwing the YouTube chatters into Twitch. I know that's not allowed. But if it's like its own separate thing, I'm fairly certain that's kosher right there. Yeah,
it is. All it is, technically all it's doing is just taking what the people are saying from all those different platforms and putting them into, like, a third-party chat, so that you can see them all smushed together. But they're still on their separate platforms at the end of the day.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. How do you handle the pressure of constantly being online or constantly being present for your audience?
I was already chronically online. There was no change. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Definitely. I know some people, they're like, when they start off, they've never been online, so, like, they see it's very overwhelming. And then you have the other half where it's like, I've been doing this for years.
You want to talk about things that are a real pain. It's trying to explain to people, I'm live right now.
Yeah, I know that could be a toughie. I know I live with my family, and definitely, because my little sister, she'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, you can't be in here right now. You gotta come back later. Where did we leave off? Okay, how do you deal with criticism or negative feedback, especially as a newcomer?
So, thankfully, the criticism that I've received so far has been worded very nicely. in the form of usually, hey, here are some tips, here are some things you can improve on. I think the best thing to do is take it all with, even if it's very good advice, take it all with a grain of salt. Definitely take a look at the criticism. Don't dismiss it entirely unless it's, like, definitely trolls.
Yeah.
But I would suggest taking a look at the criticism, evaluating, is this actually a problem? If it is actually a problem, how do I work on it? Don't respond right away. And what I would suggest is, if you do respond, actually, I would almost suggest don't respond directly anyways. And especially if you decide to ignore that first bit, don't do it on social media. Oh my goodness, don't do it on social media. The worst thing you can do is fan flames of criticism, especially if it sounds like you're really defensive.
Yeah.
Because then that's gonna get people to take a look at you and go, oh, they can't handle a little critique. And even if you're doing everything right, there are gonna be people who don't like what you're doing. You kind of have to take that in stride. I mean, you're online now, and if you're a VTuber, it's gonna happen. If you're any sort of public-facing persona, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I feel like with anything, criticism comes with it. And especially for like the new VTubers, I know there are some people out there that will tell them stuff to mess them up. But I definitely would say that you have to kind of look at everybody's criticism with the thought of, okay, could this be them trying to harm what I'm doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the best thing to do in those instances where you think like the person may not have the best of intentions is to quietly separate yourself. Don't make it a big thing. The worst thing, I think, the worst trap I feel a lot of people fall into is taking a small situation and blowing it up. There are ways to handle disagreements, there are ways to handle disputes that don't involve, like, plastering it all over Twitter, for example. And I think the best way, even if it's not, like, between creators, if it's between fan and creator, the best thing to do is probably just take a step back and distance yourself. That's my best piece of advice.
Yeah, I think it's a very good piece. Because I feel like sometimes people, they try to bring it to social media to like see if people agree with them or get their point across. When sometimes it's not, you don't have to do all of that. I mean,
and if you're still curious, post anonymously, scrubbing all identifying informations on like r/miv a-hole.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, like Reddit. Yeah.
Yeah, just there are ways to do it without having your name out there and get like a third set of eyes on things.
What would you say is the most rewarding part of being a VTuber?
Being able to be my genuine self. Honestly, I feel more free to just be me than I ever do in my flesh persona. And I think that the most rewarding bit is being able to reach out to so many cool people, because I am a fan of a lot of the same people that I am in the works of like growing with as a small-time streamer. And so it's cool to be able to sort of engage from a fan perspective and a creator perspective, especially because I was as I had mentioned, creator before, but in writing books, you don't really have the same engagement with fans as you do, like, directly when live streaming, for example. It's a very different medium, and being able to sort of bridge this gap, I think, is, quite frankly, amazing.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. My mom is a publisher, so I was able to actually see the difference when it comes to the fans, like how you connect, how the different feelings and emotions that come from each other when it comes to like streaming and actually being a writer.
It's all rewarding. I think being able to be one's true self it goes so far in making me happier, and so that's why I love this, and I'm going to continue to do it, whether I have 1 viewer, 10 viewers, 100 viewers, or who knows, maybe one day I'm gonna be hosting the streamies. very unlikely.
Hey, you gotta put it out there. You gotta say it. You never know. We might look back in like 2 years, because sometimes it doesn't take that long, and you could be. So I mean, you always have to have that positivity, and at least you're enjoying it. Because I know a good handful of people, they don't even enjoy doing it, or they lost their happiness when it comes to streaming. So as long as you enjoy it, that's like the biggest thing, I would say.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point there, that burnout some people get, or it reminds me of, I'm not going to go too deep into it because it's its own side tangent, this wrestling storyline of somebody who lost their smile.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta love what you do. And I think if you ever find that you don't love what you do, I think that's the point where you kind of have to start asking yourself, like, okay, what's causing my dissatisfaction? How can I remove that?
Yeah, you gotta evaluate yourself a bit. So you kind of segued it perfectly. How do you stay motivated and to keep streaming even with as of right now having low viewership?
The fact that I don't expect to blow up overnight. It kind of has to do with being a writer, actually. I am so used to rejection in that field that I kind of came over here and expected, honestly, not to even be close to the affiliate status. The fact that I have most of the requirements is something that's actually positively surprising to me. I didn't think that it would happen for forever, if it happened at all, and it wasn't necessarily a goal until I saw that it was viable. I know that there are a few Twitch streamers who, oh gosh, and I'm trying to think of his name. He's one of the bigger streamers now, VTuber, who I remember on Twitch and taking a look at his past stats when he was first starting out, and I wish I remember his name. Bald, tan skin, very energetic. But he had like one average viewer for the better part of a year when he first started out, and now he's like one of the biggest names. And it's seeing that jump kind of got me ready for, okay, so even the biggest of the streamers can go ahead and not have any viewers forever, and one day their careers might just take off. So at the end of the day, if you're doing it just for the viewers, I think you're kind of missing the point. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just think that it's necessary to kind of accept that, kind of like trying out for the NBA. You're not necessarily going to be on the big team. You're not necessarily going to be able to be Iron Mouse, for example. And that's okay. You don't have to be Iron Mouse. Fitting given that she just broke the record. But yeah, you don't have to be as successful as Iron Mouse. And if you're trying to compare your success to her, like, oh, I'm nowhere near that. Well, it's because she's the outlier. It would be trying to be an actor and saying, well, oh, I'm not as successful as The Rock.
Definitely. I think when it comes down to people who, and I won't lie, I was one of those type of streamers when I first started out, where like you're like, I'm gonna get 1 million followers and I'm gonna have everybody watching me. It's like watching the clock. You know, like you want to leave school or you know you're gonna do something and you're watching the clock just every minute. It slows down, but when you're not focusing on that, it seems like it goes a little bit faster. That's definitely something that a lot of newcomers and even people who are streaming now need to always keep in mind. Most definitely. And for our exiting question, what excites you the most about your future in VTubing?
All the cool people I get to meet. That's easy. I already met a lot of people who... So even before I started VTubing, I was a big fan of VTubers. A lot of people who are bigger. I actually didn't watch too many smaller streamers until I got to start engaging with them. But I watched a lot of people like Iron Mouse, like Affiliation, like Neuro, and all those VTubers were really cool. Gargura, Pakora, I love Pakora. I can go, yeah. But I started watching a lot of smaller VTubers when I became one, and to try to see like, okay, what are they doing? I wanna see like what they're doing and how to how to go about being like them, more established, and that's why I started watching smaller corps, and I found out that I accidentally fell in love with smaller streamers, and I actually enjoy their content a lot more than bigger streamers nowadays.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more comfy, a lot more personable, and I honestly think that it's so cool, the communities that they get to build. Again, I've been able to meet a lot of people I deeply admire and respect as not just VTubers, but human beings. Again, I will go ahead and plug my Kami, Mia Fenimore. You can find her on the Analyze app, part of the Nexus class Nebulink. But a lot of people like that. And it's really cool to be able to be a part of their communities and see how they grow as I'm growing.
I do feel like people sleep on like I love the way you actually said that. I feel like people sleep on the smaller streamers, but sometimes when I first started out, I wasn't watching anybody's streams. I was just so focused on what I was doing. But kind of like how you said, when I got started into it, and like you're being social with people, you're watching their streams, I love it. Sometimes hours go past, I'm just watching people stream, and they are some of the most friendliest, like nicest people ever, and I could just sit there for hours and just get zapped. It's something. It's really crazy when you think about it. Like if you go up and you walk up to somebody and say, sometimes I sit there and I listen to somebody just play a video game and stuff, but you know, it's the energy and the warmth that they give you.
Yeah, and to go into that, like, just a little bit, I think you bring up a really good point, and I think it's part of the reason I fell so naturally into VTubers and, like, their communities. I remember back in my day, I used to watch PewDiePie,
oh,
and
Lord.
I used to watch Markiplier, and all them folk playing FNAF. No, but seriously, early YouTube was really cool to watch and see a lot of those communities grow up, and I think what you just said, I watch people play video games. That's how I got my start in a lot of things. I watch people do things and watch media and play media that I enjoy too, and they were able to build communities, much like how VTubers are building communities now. I mean, you've got a lot of older folk like Matt Pat and Game Theory, who, when he was still around, you have like the channel Awesome people, like the Nostalgia Critic, and and a lot of their folk. Then you can see the natural evolution of like, okay, so what's the big thing now? Angry reviewers, that's the big thing now. Okay, now what's the big thing? People streaming horror games, not streaming horror games, let me rephrase. People doing let's plays on horror games. Now, what's the next big thing? Well, we're an adpocalypse, so nothing. Oh, what's the next big thing after that? And then it eventually gets to VTubers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are now.
I wonder okay, this is perfect, because my timer's about to go off, but what do you think? Like, let's make a prediction. What do you think is the next big thing after VTubing? Do you think it's going to go back to flesh tubing?
I think it's actually just the continuation of VTubing. We're still so soon into it. I think what's actually going to happen is people are going to take VTubing, and the natural extension of it is a lot of VTubers right now are streamers. I think it's going to go into the point where VTubers are not just limited to streaming, but a lot of long form videos. So instead of a flesh person doing a long form video, no, you're gonna have like VTubers doing that, and it's gonna open up a lot of possibilities, because there are a lot of things you can do in animation and with like a 2D model that you can't necessarily do with an actual person for risk of them getting hurt.
Yeah. Heck, you can even like act out skits and stuff like that, or hold on. You can. We'll continue with this last bit, but like, I mean, skits, you can do like the trends, because like me personally, I don't do like the TikTok trends and stuff like that, because I don't like my personal stuff being out there. But you have people already who are VTubers, and they're doing the trends on TikTok, and they're doing stuff like that. So you kind of can push more into those different spaces and evolve a little bit more.
Exactly. I think that's exactly it. It's just gonna continue to grow. People are gonna get more used to VTubers, and it's just gonna be, well, who do you watch? I like to watch, who's a popular YouTuber right now? Actually, no. Perfect example. Jaden Animations. Jaden Animations was not always a VTuber. She was originally a
Is she a
content
VTuber
creator. Yeah, Jaden's a VTuber.
Oh, last time I saw her, she was still doing like the story times.
Well, that's the cool thing. She still does the story times.
Oh.
But she's also a VTuber.
Oh, cool. I gotta go back and watch.
And she does keep a bit of a distinction, and I think the next bit is, here's the story time, but now I'm more free to like show like my Jaden VTuber model, for example.
Oh wow, I didn't even know about that. But I'm pretty sure it will go that deep, and it will expand a little bit more before it changes hands to something else. I think we have like a good 3 to 5 years, if not longer, depending with technology evolving and everything.
Who knows? One day it might be, it might just get pushed to like artificial or augmented reality, depending on how that tech plays out.
That's true. But that's a whole different conversation.
But that's just a theory.
Yes.
A VTuber theory.
Well, I thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking a chance on me.
Of course. I loved your design. Your energy was so inviting. I was like, I definitely need you. I'm gonna pull you in.
I think that what you're doing is really cool, and I'm excited to see like how it grows and evolves as well, because the idea of you doing this podcast is kind of exactly what I was just saying, how VTubers and stuff can do other things other than just stream.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I'm trying just to get everybody's perspective. I know not everybody has a good experience. I know not everybody has even been able to talk about certain things that are going on. And I feel if we're more open and apparent about the good and the bad, I feel like the longevity of VTubing will continue and will be even better. If you are a VTuber or PNG tuber and you want to share your experience in the VTubing community, you can go ahead and click on, and I will get to you as soon as I can. And can't wait to see you next episode.